Dating in Paris, where do I even start? I've dated in DC, I've dated in New York, I've dated in San Francisco, but Paris, you on another level. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, I'm Tiff. I'm an American living in Paris, so my channel is dedicated to sharing all about my life abroad and the lessons learned during my time here. So I recently posted an Ask Me Anything about life in Paris on Instagram. So this originally was going to be a Q&A, but I did get a few questions around dating life in Paris. I was planning to do a dating in Paris video soon anyways, so here it is. So first I'll chat about some of the differences between dating in France and dating in the US. And then I'll share some of my personal dating in Paris stories. All right, so let's get into it. So dating in France versus dating in the US, AKA dating in Paris 101. So number one, in France, there's no long drawn out talking or dating stage before you guys make it official. After around 3 to 5 dates, you guys are pretty much together. And from what I've experienced in the States, there have been times where, me or my friends have dated a guy for a few months and then decided that we either weren't gonna be together or that we were gonna be together, etc. In France, there's none of that. After around 3 to 5 dates, you're either with the guy or you're not. Also in France, there's really no serious conversation about being exclusive. So again, after these 3 to 5 dates, if you continue to see the guy, y'all are together, y'all are official, that's your boyfriend, you guys are exclusive, which is really important to know if you're moving out here or want to date out here coming from the United States, because you'll find yourself in a relationship and not even know it. So be careful and know that that's kind of how things work here. In the States, when you're dating, there's always this talk where you guys decide whether or not you want to be exclusive. Maybe not for everyone, but from what I've experienced, that's how it goes. But in France, it's a little bit different, so don't get yourself caught up. And number three, what I found is that there's just not as much pressure around dating in France or making someone your boyfriend or girlfriend. People have multiple girlfriends or boyfriends throughout the year, and it's completely normal. I feel like in the States, once we decide that someone's our boyfriend or someone's our girlfriend, it's kind of like we're on the path to marriage in a sense. Out here, it's just not the same. It's a lot more casual. So those are just a few of the differences I've seen between dating in France and dating in the US, and had to share with you guys if you are interested in coming to this country and dating, not to get yourself caught up. I'm not gonna lie, I ran into a few situations where the guy thought that we were together and in my mind we weren't. More to share in the stories to come. All right, so moving on to a few of my personal dating stories in Paris. So for the first 1.5 to 2 years of me living here, I was doing some dating, just here and there, not too much. I was on the dating apps. I was on Tinder, I was on Bumble, and I was also on this app called Happen, which I had actually only ever used in Paris. So it's basically an app where you can see in real time everyone on the app that you could be a match for that has crossed your path during the day and exactly where they crossed you, which now looking back on it, I think is a little bit creepy. I don't know if I'd want people knowing where I hang out and things like that, but it was an app that I was on. But I didn't only meet guys on the apps, just from going out to clubs and bars, I did meet some guys that way as well. So the stories I have for you are around Tinder Bae, Happen Bae, Bar Bae, and Actual Bae. So I'll share with you guys how I met my current boyfriend. Now, keep in mind, this has just been my personal experience dating in Paris. Not to say if you come here that you'll experience the same thing. These are just some of my stories. All right, so Tinder Bae was from Cameroon. And the conversation on Tinder was actually pretty cute. He was cracking little jokes. He was texting completely in English, which was perfect because I do not yet speak French. I'm working on it, but I am not fluent. So we decided to meet at a restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants in Paris. How about this man comes to the date and can barely speak English, which I mean is fine because we live in France, I get it, but why were you texting me in English and you cannot speak English? So I'm sitting there like, excuse me, sir, you were texting me in English the whole time. What happened? And he was like, yeah, I was really nervous. I was looking up a lot of stuff so I could talk to you. I mean, okay, it was kind of cute, but still. But anyways, we managed Google Translate and all. And it was a cute date, it was fun company to have around. So we went on a second date. It was super cute, him buying me crepes and Nutella and all. And then the third date rolls around and homeboy starts acting up. So we had plans to go to dinner that night. It was probably like a Friday night. And an hour before we're supposed to meet up, he texts me, "Oh, it's too hot to eat." What? I'm sorry, it's too hot to eat? What does that even mean? But anyways, we decided to go for drinks instead, which was fine. But the conversation was so weird. It went from him asking too many questions about a guy friend who had recently posted a picture with me on his Instagram page, like him talking about where he works and, you know, where he lives. And I'm sitting there like, how did this man even find out all of this information? And to top it off, he wouldn't tell me how he even found this picture or found this guy who's my friend. Little strange. To him saying that, "Oh, I wouldn't be fun at a bar because I don't really drink." To him saying, "Oh, it must be okay to cheat because, you know, Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce and she took him back." To him saying that, "Oh, I really like you and do you like me? What do you think of me? Where is this going?" Like, sir, you are doing the most. And then I saw him on his phone for a smooth like 10 minutes and I decided to ask, you know, like, "What are you doing on your phone?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm trying to book a hotel room for us for tonight." What? Sir, goodbye and good night. And that was the last of him. Next up is baeeee. So I met this guy at 21 Sound Bar, which is a really fun bar in Paris. It's super small, but plays Caribbean music, Afro beats. It's totally my kind of vibe. And I'm not gonna lie, every time I go there, I see some fine, tall looking men. So if you come into Paris, hit up this bar. So anyways, I met this guy at 21 Sound Bar. You know, he was cute, he was tall, you know, took me on a few dates, taught me a little French, a little ça va, comment allez-vous. Everything was cool until one night he came over and told me that he had to be home by a certain time because he didn't want to get in trouble with his mom. Next. Then there was Baeeee, which was this Senegalese guy who actually seemed really cool. You know, he had his stuff together, you know, he liked good food, he liked to travel the world, you know, all good vibes on our first date for sure. And our second date rolled around, which I think was like a month later, and totally my bad, because it was while I was studying for my MBA program in France. But I will never forget, he looked at me all googly-eyed and said, "You know, Tiffanie, where do you see this going? I'm really into you." And I'm just sitting there like, this is our second date. I really don't know you. You really don't know me. How you know you want to be with me? Like, we barely even know each other. And he was like, "Oh, I just know, like, you're the one." I was just like, this is entirely too much. And at the time, I wasn't even sure if I was going to stay in Paris. I was just midway through my MBA program and I had no idea what was gonna happen, which I explained to him. You know, I wasn't even sure if I was gonna be staying in Paris past July of that year. And he looked at me and was just like, "You know, I'm willing to take that risk." Too much too soon. Sorry, boy, you cute and you nice, but actually I forgot about one bae who I don't even know what to call him. Let's call him Photoshoot Bae, and I only call him Photoshoot Bae because I met him while I was doing a photo shoot in Paris with one of my friends. So me and my friend were doing a mini photo shoot in Paris, and we see this tall African man walk by with an older guy who kind of looked like he was his dad or something. I was like, who is this? And this guy was tall, like he had to be like 6'7", 6'8", or something like that. So he kind of looks back at us and, you know, we make eyes or whatever, and he walks over with his father figure. So how about even before Photoshoot Bae says a word, this dad uncle figure starts talking to us, talking about, "Oh, would you girls want to hang out with us? Would y'all want to, you know, hang out at a lounge or whatever?" And we're like, with him, but not with you. It was just kind of weird. But anyways, me and Photoshoot Bae ended up exchanging numbers and we went on a date. So we met for drinks, actually right around the Eiffel Tower, which was super cute. But this man was a little too much. Like, I remember this table started talking about his glasses and they loved them. And he was like, "Oh yeah, you can only get them at the YSL in Belgium." He would talk about how his family had multiple flats throughout Paris. And that he was always traveling, you know, back and forth for work, or that he had to pick up his Mercedes-Benz at the car dealership, which, I mean, if you got it, you got it. That's awesome. But I just think that the way he was sharing these things was a little bit too much. And then when I asked him, you know, what do you do? Like, that's so amazing that you get to travel and you have all of these flats and things like that. Like, what do you do for work? This man was so secretive. Like, he didn't really want to tell me what he did for work. He said that he worked in aviation, but then I asked, well, what exactly in aviation do you do? And it was weird. Like, he was being so secretive about everything. And I'm like, this doesn't really feel right. Like, you're cute, you're tall, you got it going on, but something feels a little bit weird about all of this. And we actually stayed in contact for a few months. But we just never could get our schedules right to meet up. So, I mean, that one just kind of fizzled away, which is fine. So that's photo shoot bae. Those are just a few of the dating stories that I have in Paris. If you're out here and you've been dating, like, let me know how you've experienced things. I'm sure these stories are like one-off or very specific to what my experience was. But now I'm gonna talk to you guys about how I met bae, like the real bae, aka my boyfriend. And it's actually a really funny story because I met him in the apartment visit of the apartment that I currently live in. So I'd actually gotten kicked out of my first apartment in Paris. And if you missed my video about where I shared all about that experience, I will definitely link it to this video. But I had gotten kicked out of my apartment and then was kind of forced to move into a sublet in the 18th. And after about a few months there, the guy who owned the sublet was coming back to his apartment earlier than expected. So I started scouring everywhere looking for an apartment. And it was actually the very next day after he had called me saying that he needed the apartment back that I found this apartment that I currently live in. So I came to the apartment visit super late, flustered, you know, walked in. Everyone was, of course, speaking French. So I was a little overwhelmed and pulled out my overused, you know, parlez-vous anglais, and Henry, my boyfriend, started translating for me. So he was kind of like my little translator during the apartment visit, which was super cute. I had a feeling, I was like, I know this guy is gonna try and talk to me. I just knew. The apartment visit was ending and we walked down the stairs. And the French doors to get out of the apartment buildings can sometimes be a little bit difficult. Like, you can't just push the door and it opens. You have to press a button and then it opens and all of this stuff. So I'm stuck at the door, like cannot open the door. And he literally just clicks the button and pushes the door and we walk out. I was like, Jesus, I must look like such an idiot. Like, couldn't get this door open, but whatever, it is what it is. And then we reached the second door to get out of the apartment, or the gate, and he can't open it. So then I opened it, like, bing, got you. And after that, we were just walking and talking. And then he asked me if I wanted to get a drink, and the rest is history. So that's how I met my boyfriend in Paris. So there you have it, guys, my dating experience in Paris. You know, if you're single and you're moving abroad or to another country or even to a new state, you know, go on the dating apps, have some fun, date a bit. You know, it was definitely quite an experience for me, but also allowed me to like learn about new cool places in the city that I might not have known if I hadn't gone on some of those dates. And for me, I was definitely stepping out of my comfort zone, you know, especially with the language barrier and everything like that. But it was a super fun experience, and now I have so many stories to tell about it. In the end, I finally found my guy. So that's it for me for today. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next week.